Also, in the news recently, last couple of weeks, we've got the release of that new Tupac movie. You've seen it in there? Anyone invested any time to watch it?
Listen, people.
Nobody has watched it in here. I haven't watched it myself, but to be honest, there's a reason why I haven't seen it yet. I've been hearing mixed reviews. No, seriously, I've been hearing mixed reviews. I'm a little bit funny, to be honest, with biopic movies anyway, because I feel like if it doesn't get made right, that is the movie for that person. That becomes them. It becomes like a part of their legacy. It's like, yeah, this was the movie about Tupac. This is Tupac, and you know, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding it, where you've got like a lot of his family up in arms, a lot of his friends up in arms, gagging orders being thrown around, John Singleton being blackballed. You know, you got Jada coming out and saying stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it's been quite sad to see that it ended up like this, because this movie's been talked about since Tupac died. Yes. And it's a very important point to touch on. It's like, you know, if you think about hip hop in general, there's always been, and not just hip hop, in entertainment, especially American entertainment, there's always been a kind of, you know, an idea that, you know, once someone dies, we can kind of, you know, make a movie about them and whatever, their life story or whatever. And I know a lot of artists don't scoff at this, they you know, they kind of welcome it. But the question I wanted to ask is like, is it okay to, you know, profit from someone else's reality in that kind of way? Because it seems like it's built up Tupac to be this mythical figure where a lot of his family and friends have talked about that's not him. And also, you know, there's been some other news this week with you know, that new show. There's a new show on Complex called Everyday Struggle. I know a couple of us in here have been invested in that, watching that. And Vic Mensa, who's out of Chicago, not my favorite rapper, but you know, he's a rapper out of Chicago. It's kind of like on a Kid Cudi kind of flex, and he took issue with DJ Academics. DJ Academics made his career off of basically glorifying and to an extent clowning the whole drill scene, where Vic Mensa had a lot of friends who lost their lives in and around that scene. So, you know, he's a kind of internet sensation through kind of making an internet series and becoming big off of this show that he did, where he just talked about Chirac and, you know, the war on Chirac, and kind of, you know, talked about all the little details and made a lot of stuff up as well, just for gas. So yeah, like, do we ever think, is there any like situation, is it wrong to profit off of other people's reality like that? What do you think, Venom Spitter?
I think about the Tupac thing, I think it's wrong when the man's not around.
Right.
That's my whole thing.
So you think no movie should be made of nobody?
No, if the man's dead, how you know what's true?
Right, yeah, that's true.
So it's just like, if I died and you're not just making up that, yeah, he slept with 50 million women and it didn't really happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why the NWA movie worked so well is because they were still around. If you think about the two movies that were not great, was the Tupac one and the Biggie one.
Yeah.
They were two. The 50 Cent one was okay, but it was still. He was still in it.
Yeah, at least
he was in it.
It's more closer to the truth than like, probably Tupac one, because he's able to tell it. He might exaggerate what happened in his life, but at least
he was there.
Do you know what I mean? At least he's telling it, rather than it, you know, him being kind of, you know, it being talked about for him, or kind of the narrative being like forced upon the audience, some fake narrative. Do you know what I mean? Like, all right. What about you? What do you think? What about you, Ray?
I think that in examples of these biopic movies, they shouldn't be made unless they like have the full consent of people that were close to that artist or that person, and that can give a correct recollection of events that happened. Because the thing with these Biggies, for example, Little Kim wasn't happy about it. Neither was Charlie Baltimore. Charlie Baltimore had a period of time where she was with Biggie. Yeah. He had a car accident that the movie never showed that was kind of major. He mentions it in lyrics for his tunes. Charlie Baltimore's upset that, you know, certain things wasn't included in the movie. Now you come to the Tupac movie, the Outlaws have been gagged, had a gagging order, which I think Afeni had too, rest in peace to her. Until up to her death, they were stalling on shooting certain parts of that movie, and then they just went full speed ahead all of a sudden. It was coming out, it had a date and everything. So it just shows that the vampires were in on the Tupac movie, and John Singleton already had the script being that he knew Tupac personally, so there's a lot of debate on both the Tupac and Biggie films, and they're both iconic rappers from, you know, an era that's golden within hip hop. And I think that, you know, they were insulted in a kind of way to have movies come out that way and represent them. I can't really speak fully on the Tupac one yet, but the reviews I've been hearing are not fire. So, understatement.
He looked a bit like
just to jump onto that, the question when you're saying about is it okay to profit from other people's reality? Alright, now to be real with it, yeah, we can look at anything and say, alright, is it okay? The media do it to us 24/7.
Of course.
Every advert you got them, you get me, you got the woman doing these dumb shit. They're violating, but then it becomes normal. Once it becomes normal to them, it stops becoming a thing that they use. It just becomes a normal activity to them. But they will use and rinse. So they rinse us 24/7. So in that aspect, we get rinsed 24/7 whether we like it or not. So do I blame somebody for making money off of somebody else's reality? Not really, to a certain extent, and there is a certain extent. I'll give you the 50-50. I've got a 50-50 in it. My 50-50 is this. Alright, if you're making your money off somebody else's downfall, then you're a dickhead, innit? Like, straight. You're living the wrong life. You're straight the car. That's not how things go down in life. So academics, like you're saying, he was living down of talking about, boy, this guy said he's a killer, but he hasn't bought his mum a house, but he's got this gun that costs this much, and but he hasn't bought his kids this, and don't look after his kids, and look at them, can they afford the dumb stuff, did they go to school, dumb stuff. Like,
but he was also inventing shit like
but that's what I'm saying, he's using stuff just to make up, and this is the stuff because he's like, alright, cool. Because why? He's one of them people that was just a viewer too. So he jumped on the bandwagon. But then at 50-50 at the same time, you got guys like the Slim Jesus, you got guys like, what's his one eye, Fetty Wap, like you got these guys here that man them have moved to them and said, blood, are you mad? Jump to put things in their face and said, blood, are you mad? We not dealing, but you're talking this life and you don't live it, just because you lived in the area. And then they're telling man, boy, but we like this type of music. So it is alright for you to like that type of music and make music, but be real with yourself. Now this is where the reality comes to it. Unless you're real to yourself about this stuff, and you're talking certain things, like if you're not a church boy and if you're on the road doing madness and you're talking at least church boy lyrics, at least it's alright.
Yeah, you've been real to yourself.
At least you've done the balance that, boy, you know what, I'm not talking my road stuff, but at least I'm talking church boy where it could go. But if you're a church boy and you're talking road stuff, cut it out, because it's the wrong way now. Now you're balancing something where you shouldn't be, or even a place that you don't need to be, and it's not a fashion. People need to understand it's just be who you are. Don't make money off nobody else's reality. Make money off your own reality. Yeah, that's just my 50-50, innit? Keeping the blood clot flowing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cricks has made like pretty much most of the points that we'd all reckon on that. But you know, when I saw that clip and I saw how angry Vendetta was, man. He really like, you could see it emotionally.
Because these are people that he's grown up with, and this internet troll has basically just created a whole narrative about their lives. And then these guys are like losing their lives, and he's, you know, and then he's asking them about it on the show as well. And I don't think that DJ Academics, like he was loving the fact that Vic Mensa got pissed off as well about, like he loved that because he thrives off all of the gas, like whether a guy punches him in his face. I feel like he's the type of guy, if a guy punched him in his face, he'll be like, that's great. You know, like the guy on the Busta Rhymes skit, like, box me. Yes, he's literally that guy. That's him. That is him. He's the spawn of that skit. Like, sorry, Luke, continue.
I think the thing that was most apparent about that interview was that it was you finally seeing, because it was obviously two black men having a real argument with each other, right? And defending their corners. One not really arguing, one was just sort of sitting there just cowering in the corner. But you know, I really felt that this was a moment where it was an introduction for young black men into the horrible, nasty, horrible world of like corporations.
It's true. Right.
A black male making money out of another black man's music, another black man's.
That's what he said as well. He was like, you know, people do that to our culture all the time, and like, you're literally doing it. You're literally now doing it. You're a culture. You're a vulture. Like he was just like, you're a vulture.
And I think it was that sense of, man, this is happening now. This white collar kind of thing happening within our own culture. We're using the same parts of our culture to to sort of take from each other, using hip hop as a device to kind of go, you know what, I'm going to make money out of that little thing. I see something there to make money on. And I think that was like really telling. So I think that this presents like a really interesting place now within hip hop. You know, have we gone as far as we can in terms of you know, like white people? I mean, historically it was people complaining about white Jewish men, you know, making money out of like gangster rap or whatever, like the LA gangster rap and G-Funk and all that. But now it seems like it's become a bit more like insidious within.
Well, because I mean, it's always been, you know, it's like popular music, like music, you know, recorded music is capitalist, isn't it? Like it's capitalist. So like now we've got to a point where the sales of recorded music have plateaued in terms of like generally. So people are trying to find all sorts of ways to become famous or make money in another way. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, it's like whether it's, you know, being an internet troll or, you know, doing some nonsense like drill, like, do you know what I mean? Or whatever, like different like things that aren't just about making the music.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then like us, we you know, we've got merch, and some other rappers have merchandise, and that's become all of these different, like, you know, additional things.
Yeah, I think it's
become part of the whole.
I think it's fine. It's fine to be critical of something. I think academics was, you know, he started out his thing. I mean, I didn't know much about him before that particular interview, but I had a look at some of his like older stuff, and I realised that, you know, he's been critical of the drill scene, and because of his criticism, he saw it as an opportunity to push the violence, and I think that's where Vin Mensa is really like, that's where he's emotional, because like you decided to stir up the violence, to make people angry at each other, so that they produce more music, so there would be more conversations. It's like it'd be like something comparable to like Venga Out, right? It's like hashtag Venga Out everywhere past. I even see Colin, I don't even know if it was a real picture. I saw a meme or a picture of Colin McGregor on his suit. Yeah. Hashtag Venga Out on the lining. Now I don't know if that one's sort of a Photoshop like that. I have to check that out.
It says fuck you.
Yeah, someone says fuck you. But it's that kind of like, let's take that and let's stir that up, and I think that's where this whole thing becomes insidious, because it was, we don't have to like drill. Like I don't dig that stuff at all. Like, I think it's whack, but. You know, there's one thing to criticise it, but there's another thing to then go, right, I'm going to now like do a whole channel about this whole thing and make loads of money out of how rubbish it is. That don't wash with me, man. That's someone's reality. You know, criticise them, but don't stop doing videos about that. You don't like it. Why are you doing like bare videos about something you don't like? No, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's more about profiting.
Of course, it definitely is. It definitely is. Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's gonna happen regardless whether we people like it or they don't, because there's always a space. There's always a space for people to do that, because people like controversy, people like gas, people like you know, like people to be falling out, or like to kind of see the dark side of other humans. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just part of human nature. That's why we have newspapers in the first place.
And hip hop has historically always been about that. It's always been about, like we talked about, like empathy. You know, hip hop's always been like a genre of empathy. That you know, the music is written, and then there's you know, people, you know, white people in the suburbs that are able to get a kind of sense of, you know, NWA. Like, they have no relationship to those people whatsoever, but they get a sense of like the idea of like anger. It was a kind of like black punk, you know, scene effectively. And I think that even people from different creeds and cultures who are struggling, you know, can tap into hip hop, and that's been historical within hip hop. But this seems like a new element. Maybe in the last 5 years or something, this kind of like social media culture, how we profit off something, which is really actually quite dark. Whereas I thought before, I think it was a little bit like, oh, we'll push this and celebrate this. Maybe I'm wrong actually. If you look at it, you know, interrogate it, you got like gangster rap. Maybe that should have been canned from day one. Do you know what I mean? Going out and talking about murdering people and stuff. But you know, I think we're
a bit might disagree. Maybe the gangster rap.
I disagree with that.
Well, listen.
We could talk about it.
We could talk about it all night. But we gotta move on. Clear
skies, feel a vibrant and wide. for a time, the sun shines, love and light. Water fight, stood beside the lights. Cooling off glass of rum, blocks of ice. The block was hype, back in 99. Now I'm posted by leafy green suburb life.